This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo.
Jurgen's 5-star Reds make it 3 from 3 in Europe as Diogo Jota grabs his first Liverpool hat-trick. Welcome to the Debrief Live here on the Blood Red channel. Matt Addison and Theo Squires alongside myself, Guy Clarke, as we bring you instant reaction to Liverpool's 5-0 win over Atalanta in the Champions League. Gentlemen, it was dubbed as Liverpool's toughest test in this Champions League group away in Bergamo against Atalanta. But Matt, that was some showing.
It certainly was, yeah. It sort of made a mockery of the pre-match predictions, didn't it? It was a game that you thought Liverpool probably would concede at some point, but, obviously didn't do that. You thought that Liverpool would probably score, 2 or 3 goals, but to score 5 and to be as clinical as what they were tonight was just absolutely fantastic to watch, really. The perfect preparation for what is another huge game on Sunday against Manchester City. And I'm sure we're going to get on to Diogo Jota and, Salah and Mane as well. I think for me, the front three have made Jurgen Klopp's decision for the weekend very, very easy with that performance, because they just seem to slot together there as if they played like that for years, which is fantastic to see. So, yeah, a thoroughly enjoyable performance and one that Liverpool can look back and be really pleased about, because, that was absolutely superb in every single position from minute 1 to minute 90.
Yeah, Theo, let's talk about deadly Diogo then. He's weeks into his Liverpool career. As Matt said there, he's gone from being an impact player coming on and scoring a few goals to even starting and grabbing goals. Tonight he's got a hat-trick. He is putting himself already in that undroppable bracket.
Yeah, it's a strange one, Diogo Jota, because I think all Liverpool fans, having seen him perform for Wolves, we think, yeah, he looks a player, but he's an inconsistent one. Like, he'd get a few goals, but then he'd go on these massive goal-scoring droughts. And then he's just turned up for Liverpool straight from the off. He's been incredible. I think the commentators were saying tonight, every time he had the ball, he looked like he was going to score. And there were such good finishes as well, so well taken. It's definitely seems that playing with this team, he's taking his game up a level. But like from the chip for the first goal, where he shrugged off the man under pressure, to the second one, having such a good first touch and rifling it in. And then the ability to just go around the keeper for his third. He's such a good player. He's just, you're watching him in awe at what he's going to do. Bit of a scare, I suppose, that he did go off with that heavy knock. But then at the same time, when you're winning 5-0, and he's probably going to start, isn't he? It'll be harsh if he doesn't start against Man City now. He is a player that you think, we'll just save him for the weekend, because he is having that much of an impact now. Every time he gets the ball, he's causing teams threats. And it doesn't matter whether he's coming on for 10 minutes at the end of one game or if you start him, he is deadly. I think you can compare him to when Liverpool signed Salah. When they signed Mane, eyebrows were raised at those fees of 35 million, 40 million. Well, it's the exact same now, isn't it, with Diogo Jota? You thought 45 million was a lot. 45 million was a bargain.
Yeah, joining us on YouTube and Facebook. Leave your comments. We'll get as many of them on screen as we can. But on Jota, Matt, words sort of don't do him justice in how well he's come into this Liverpool side and just what he is showing. A hat-trick tonight, as Theo said, each one of the finishes as well were really good. And he could have even had one before he got on the score sheet. Right in the opening moments of the game, he seemed to break through and look as though he was going to open the scoring. But he's got that link-up play, certainly with Sadio Mane, whether it be, I think a lot of us thought he'd be on the left primarily, but tonight he was spearheading that attack so often as well.
Yeah, he had one ruled out with the VAR decision at the weekend as well, which probably could have gone either way, to be honest. So, yeah, 6 goals in his last 4 games now for Liverpool. He's, you don't want to criticise Roberto Firmino too much, but I think Diogo Jota has shown tonight just what a step up he can be for Liverpool at this moment in time. I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that, Firmino won't get back to the level that we know he can be at, but I said it before, it's a really easy decision now for me. Jota plays, and he plays through the middle in that sort of false 9 role that he played tonight at the weekend, because, as you say, that the goals were there, but the link-up was there as well, and we haven't really seen either of those things being done in that sort of way by Firmino for a number of weeks now, and Jota has just come in and done an absolutely perfect performance from the start of the game to when he went off with that knock. As Theo says, hopefully it's not too bad an injury for him, and it is just one of those where you don't take any sort of risk with him. I think he probably would have come off at that point of the game anyway, to be honest. But yeah, it's just one of those performances really that really does make you say wow, because every single time he got the ball, he looked dangerous. He linked really well, as I said, with Salah and Mane, which is really not easy to do, to come into the team and play as well as he did at that moment in time. I mean, Jota last season was, fourth or fifth choice at times for Wolves in their front line. He was not getting in the team after they signed Podence in January. And it just, you can't really get your head around why when he puts in a performance like that tonight. He was just, so much better than probably Liverpool fans even dreamt of, when he came into the club. I think, there was a few eyebrows raised that he was the one that Liverpool had picked. Obviously, they'd looked at players like Timo Werner earlier in the summer, but on the evidence of tonight, he's done more already in his first few games than what Timo Werner has shown for Chelsea. And it's just so exciting that Liverpool have got those options. As I said, it's not the end of Roberto Firmino, but if you can go to Manchester City at the weekend and have that front three with Roberto Firmino to come off the bench for the last 30 minutes, what an exciting lineup that would be for Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp to pick.
Yeah, I think it shows, as you say there, the importance of the squad depth as well, of being able to have those different players to select and choose between. But Theo, we certainly saw last season, even going back to Burnley, that competitive streak between Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah when it comes to wanting to get goals. Did we see tonight as well with Jota helping step that up? It seemed as though start of the second half, those two were desperate to get themselves on the score sheet. Of course, they both did.
It's what you want to see from them. It's why they're two of the best players on the planet. You cut with this elite level players, they want to score goals, and when the game's there for the taking, and they know they're going to score a lot, they're going to be greedier with it, going for it. And there's that belief with them now. The fact that they've won golden boots between them, and they've been leading the charge. When you've got a defence that's fearing them, it's going to happen more and more. And the game tonight, I think it was a throwback somewhat to the 2017-18 season. It was like Atalanta didn't know what to expect from Liverpool, the same as teams didn't know what to expect when the front three was first put together, when they were defending high, leaving such gaps behind. And when you let Liverpool do that, getting behind you and counter-attack, they will cause you problems, and the front three will score goals. Just so happens the front three is a bit different now. So maybe it's a bit harsh to say write off Firmino in that sense, because when we've seen him this season, I think defences have been, rather than having him pulling the centre-backs all over the place, they've had a midfielder on him, so he's not been able to have the space that he's had before. But whereas tonight, he would have had it, considering how Atalanta's set up. But just watching like the Mohamed Salah goal, the fact that he nearly did it twice, scoring straight from an Atalanta corner. Well, those are goals we saw him score in 2017-18. That competitive nature when any of the front three can score, and Liverpool have just gone for it, scoring however many they want, and you feel like it could have been so many more. The only surprise, I think, is that it was Jota with the hat-trick and that Salah and Mane only got one each, because they're usually the ones who all the chances fall to and all the chances are taken by. They could have had a few more. I think we saw, was it Salah trying from quite far out from the halfway line when he could have maybe played Mane in? When the game's won there, he might as well try it. But that's what you get from these quality players. And it's good to see them. They've both started the season well. They've both got that competitive nature, and it's going to continue. And it's one of the reasons why their form usually stays so consistent, because they're both there, part of a team together, but pushing each other on individually as well.
Yeah, keep your comments coming. Let's look elsewhere then, Diogo Jota then, Matt. And I suppose even with half an eye to the weekend, how timely was it, this performance from Liverpool, that it was complete in so many ways, not only going forward, but also defensively as well?
Yeah, exactly that. It was a real step up. I thought Liverpool have played obviously fairly well in the first few weeks of the season. There's been obviously certain games where they haven't, but tonight was by far and away the most complete that they've played. I thought in goal, Alisson made a couple of really good saves. You go through the back line, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson both looked excellent. Reece Williams quietly had a really, really good game. It's obviously a very difficult one for him to come into. It's a big step up again to come into the Champions League, but he just looked as if he'd been there and done it so many times before. And yeah, in midfield, Gino Wijnaldum I thought was superb. Obviously got the yellow card fairly early on in the game, but didn't really seem to hinder him at all. He was just absolutely exceptional. And Jordan Henderson alongside him as well, I thought was superb. So you can pick out a number of players. Obviously, Jota is going to get the headlines, and if not him, then Salah and Mane. But realistically, for Liverpool tonight, I thought every single player did exactly what they needed to do. And as you say, a complete performance, which probably, apart from Reece Williams and Curtis Jones, who were both absolutely exceptional, the other 9 players, I think, are pretty much certain to start at the weekend. I think, obviously, Joel Matip, if he's back, he'll probably come back in. I think he'd probably play a more safe option in the midfield than Curtis Jones, but certainly no slight on the performance from him, because I thought he was magnificent as well. But yeah, certainly, 9 out of the 11 positions for Sunday have absolutely been made tonight for me.
Yeah, on Curtis Jones, Theo, he started against West Ham. He started today. Of course, he did also start the game against Ajax as well earlier on in the Champions League campaign. And each time he has started in games, he has looked impressive, even it's sort of in that deeper central sort of midfield role, and maybe not attacking as much, but he is beginning to sort of show what quality he's got on the ball, even progressing the ball from deep.
Yeah, I think it was a step up from him tonight. Like, he's had his glimpses in games so far this season, but he's also had games where he's not been at his best and he's been substituted at half time or early on or whatever. We know how talented he is. We know what a good player he is, and he showed it last season. And it was just taking his game to that next level. Jurgen Klopp gave him a few Premier League games last year, and it's now just easing him in. It's why he's getting more starts as the season goes on. And it was a really mature performance for him. He didn't look out of place at all. And as we said at the start of the show about it, it should have been the toughest Champions League game that Liverpool were going to face. And for a lad making his second Champions League start, he was just in control of a team that have a lot of bodies in midfield, and he could have easily been outnumbered. He got his booking early on as well, didn't he, alongside Wijnaldum? But it didn't mean he lost his head or anything. It would have been very easy in this sort of European game to get intimidated, maybe more so when there's a crowd there, and to get a cheap second yellow card and get sent off. But every time he was on the ball, he was so cool and composed, making good decisions, linking up with the front three as well. But he kept his positioning too. It wasn't as the case of he's just running around like a headless chicken. And he's so young and making such an impact already. Can't really get too carried away just yet because he is still learning the trades, learning the full system. But it was good for him to make that impact in this game. When you think Liverpool have got so many players out injured at the moment, obviously the main one that comes to mind is Van Dijk and Thiago. For him to go and put that performance in when his star signing from the summer's missing, it shows that Liverpool have got so many options across the board. And in a season where Jurgen Klopp is going to rotate across the board, they're not going to really miss out by having to make these changes. And it's just a promising sign to see from a lad who you'd hope can go and do this for Liverpool for the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, if Thiago and Van Dijk are out, then, Matt, it's not bad to have two lads out of the academy who can slot in Jones and also Reece Williams tonight. There were a couple of chances for Atalanta. Zapata maybe not showing too much composure in front of goal, but Reece Williams winning plenty of plaudits. We've had a comment already on screen tonight saying Atalanta maybe thought they were coming up against Van Dijk when they saw him.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I mean, he was so assured. That was the thing. He just looks so confident. I know we've said it plenty of times about Curtis Jones that he is, very, very self-assured when he steps onto the pitch. And I thought we saw the same sort of thing really from Reece Williams at the back. I think he was helped a little bit by Joe Gomez because I think he was absolutely superb as well alongside him. Didn't really give away too many chances. Of course, when you come up against a team as good at attacking as Atalanta, you are going to let one or two slip through the net. But as a partnership, I think it's the 36th different centre-back partnership or something like that Jurgen Klopp was picked from. And they just looked like they'd played together before. They looked so good together. They looked almost as if they knew what each other was going to do. They knew how to deal with what was a relatively limited threat. We have to be honest, Atalanta were not at their best. But yeah, for them to play as well as they did, for them to sort of be as assured as they were, as I say, it's a really promising sign. And Reece Williams now has sort of really made a name for himself. I think obviously Nico Williams has done that in recent times. Trent Alexander-Arnold, another academy graduate, to be on the pitch for Liverpool tonight. It's a real testament to the work that the people at the academy and Alex Inglethorpe and all the rest of the team do, because for Liverpool to have such squad depth, to have players supplementing the main players from the youth academy is every single thing really that could have gone right for Liverpool tonight very much has done.
Yeah, certainly. And also, Theo, before we do wrap up here on the debrief, Naby Keita and Joel Matip both on the bench as well. Keita, of course, did get onto the pitch. You just wonder if Matip, it's just sort of an extra few days to get him certainly ready for City at the weekend.
Yeah, I think I said it when we were picking teams before the Everton game that I didn't want to start Matip in that one because he's the sort of player that when you rush him back, he is going to pick up another knock. And that's what we've seen. So I think it was a wise decision from Jurgen Klopp not to rush him. You've got an international break on the horizon, and it's one where if you're desperate to put him in a game out of the two, you obviously choose Manchester City. Like Atalanta, take nothing away from them, despite the result. They are a very good team. We know normally they score a lot of goals, but Manchester City, it's at the moment your biggest game in the season. It's your toughest game in the season, and that's when Matip, you want to save his legs for. It was a positive seeing Naby Keita back. I think earlier in the season we thought he'd had these issues. He'd put them behind him when he had a number of games in a row. He was starting to make more of an impact, so it's been a shame to see him sidelined recently. He didn't have a lot of time to really make much of an impact, but good to him get some minutes in the legs. And as we've seen, Liverpool are going to keep having to rotate for the next few months, so he's still going to get opportunities more than he did last year when he was trying to force his way back into the side. But it was interesting looking at the players who did come off the bench, because it was great to see Nico Williams, great to see Kostas Tsimikas. But when you think Shaqiri's not come on, Origi's not come on, Minamino's not come on, when you're winning a game 5-0, like Salah and Mane, they'd have been desperate to come on and desperate to score. It's like, well, they're not going to be starting against Manchester City. So if Klopp's not turning into them now, that's a bit of inspiration, I suppose, for them. It's like, what do they have to do to get this minutes on the pitch when it's not just Firmino's now got to try and force his way back ahead of Jota. It's these three as well, realising, well, one of the front four now, front three, whatever, are the go-to option off the bench. So it's even tougher for them. Now, Jurgen Klopp's going to be loving it because his options are so strong. But those players there, I don't envy them having to try and force their way in, because they're not going to get the game time consistently. It's just going to be minutes here and there, off the bench, the occasional start. And while we've seen Origi and Minamino not grab the opportunities in the past, Jota has, and he's totally built on it. Just need to see who gets the opportunity against Man City and who can grab it then.
Well, that's it from us here on the debrief on the Blood Red channel. The front three all firing as Liverpool complete their Italian job. A warning sent out to Manchester City ahead of Sunday's clash at the Etihad. But from myself, Guy Clarke, Theo Squires and Matt Addison, thanks for joining us. That's all for now.